views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hello and welcome to Open University from our BronxNet studios on the campus of Lehman College, where we keep you in the loop on current discussions in and around the community. I'm your host, Katie Loy Knight, and we have a great show filled with art, health, and more. Leading things off, we'll take a look at one group is fighting for safe and affordable housing for the people of the Bronx. Plus, are you an artist in the Bronx? If so, there may be opportunities and money for you. We'll sit down with an organization that has all the details. And later on, we'll join by an urban farmer and activist and hear her story and learn more about her efforts towards food and economic justice. So sit back, relax, and let me keep you in the loop with a brand new episode of Open University. Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Katie Loy Knight. Leading things off, CASA works to fight for housing in our borough for safe and affordable housing. And on October 14th, they will hold their annual gala. Joining us with more information, we have Althea Matthews. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you for having me here.
Yes, it's a pleasure for you to be here. Now, can you tell us a little bit about your work, what CASA stands for?
CASA is a project under New Settlement Apartments, which is an organization that provide affordable housing as well the community needs, services for the community. CASA is an acronym for Community Action for Safe Apartments, and we advocate for tenants as well as affordable housing. Our mission basically is to maintain and provide affordable housing for the people that lives in the Bronx.
All right, that's nice. So can you tell me, it says safe housing. Can you explain to me what safe we understand?
Safe is livable, something that's livable. That should be a right for people to have an elevator that's working, don't have mold in their apartment, that have a working stove, that have heat during the winter. That's safe, People get sick if they don't have heat, they go to the hospital. So that's part of safe, something that's livable that you should get as a right when you rent to these landlords.
All right. So why are you doing what you're doing? Why you're a part of this organization?
I love to advocate because it's the right thing to do. Right now, myself, I don't have an apartment, but it's a bigger picture than what my concerns are. People need to have safe and affordable homes. Right now, we're going through a gentrification, and it's not right. I think the landlord have too much rights than the tenants. And that's why I'm fighting on the campaigns that we fighting on and involved with CASA.
All right, that's really good. So can you tell us about the annual gala that's coming up?
Oh, yes. We're having the gala October 14th, 2016. It's going to be hosted at Community College. That's 475 Grand Concourse, 149th Street in the Bronx here. And our gala, the prices ranges, $15 for the members, $100 for our allies, but we can go up to $5,000. No amount is too small or too large. And what this money would do, it will help us continue some of our campaigns that we've been working on, such as the right to counsel, the rezoning, and housing court reforms.
All right, that's really nice. And so I realized that you're wearing a badge. Can you tell us a little bit more about that badge that you have right there?
The badge, it says Stop Gentrification. And with the rezoning, that we just had a nice turnout, over 1,000 people turn out at the Bronx Community College last Thursday, talking about challenging, which was a hearing challenging the Department of City Plan and draft scope. And in that scope that we have sent them a letter in April 18th to be exact, 2016, we have recommended that they have anti-harassment in that scope for right to as well as right to counsel, anti-displacement, good jobs, union jobs for people so they can have a career, as well apprenticeship, and affordable housing that reflects the community 4 and 5. They don't have this, and since they don't have any of this in their draft scope, yes, we're gonna have gentrification, because you cannot move people into the community, build in the community, and do not protect the people that's living in the community and giving them the opportunity to stay in the community.
All right. So you fighting for the affordable housing. So tell me a little bit more about what exactly is happening in the Bronx, in terms of rent and housing for the people here, and why the affordable housing will be beneficial for the Bronx community and for the people living here.
Well, we in the low income area in the Bronx District 4 and 5, and this is the 5 community High Bridge, University of the House, Morris Heights, Morris Hope, Mount Eden. And these communities going to be affected with the rezoning. We need something to protect the people. And then on the spine of Jerome Avenue, we have a lot of auto workers that's going to be displaced. They have to have something to place for these people if they're going to bring something in the community. They have to project 11,000 new residents. They're going to build close to over 3,200 units. But the best thing, what they're talking about under for the subsidy under the MIH, the mandatory exclusionary housing, is for the city and state subsidy, is the ELA program. And you have to only, in order to get into a building under that program, you have to earn $52,000. So that still doesn't reflect the community income, because at least 25% might gross 50,000, but the most of them is about 2,700, give or take. And so when they bring and do this rezoning, people in the community won't be able to even apply for new housing. So they're going to be displaced and relocated. And that's why it's so important, before they put out this scope, that they have the right to counsel in place. And that's something we had our first hearing on last Monday, at City Hall. Our first hearing after 2 years of getting the right to counsel in place, which give legal representation and housing court.
All right.
This is part of our housing reform.
All right. So how can people get in contact with you or your organization for safe and affordable housing information? Oh,
you can call CASA, or you can look up on our website, CASA Power, CASAPOWER.org. Or you can give us a phone number, give us a call at 718-716-8000. Suzanne Blakely is the director, beautiful person, strong-headed, and lead the way for this our campaigns.
All right, thank you very much. We have to take a quick break, but we'll be right back with more Open University.
Welcome, good people of the Bronx and beyond.
Bronx Backyard on BronxNet, from Broadway in the Bronx. On BronxNet channel 67 Optimum, 33 Fios, and at www.bronxnet.tv, featuring Johnny Grave, Johnny 7, Brooks Thomas, Genetic Control, Ryan Banga. Bronx Backyard on Bronx Live on your channels, BronxNet.
Welcome back to the studio. The Bronx Council on the Arts is inviting artists to apply for the 2017 Bronx Recognizing Its Own Awards. Joining us with details, we have grant administrators Lydia Clark and Delasia Foreman. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
All right. So can you tell me a little bit more about this award program?
Oh, well, the award is called BRIO, for short,
Bronx recognizes its own, and it's an award for excellence of work. And we would like for all of these Bronx, it's only for Bronx residents, I'm sorry. We would like for them to know that this award is open to them, so long as they're 18 of age and over, and part-time students.
Part-time
They could be
students, no
part-time
full-time.
students, no full-time students. So, yeah, the grant, the application opened actually yesterday. So they can go to Submittable, they can go to our website, www.bronxarts.org, and submit their application online.
All right. So what I've learned is that both of you guys are grant administrators, right? But you guys deal with different parts of the grant, right?
Correct.
So can you tell me a little bit more about what your grant administration is doing?
So Lydia does the artistic excellence and I do community engaged projects. So we have 3 grants that have been open since July. The Artists for Community grant, which is for 4 individual artists up to $2,500. The Arts Fund grant, which is for individual artists and arts organizations with an organizational budget below $100,000. And the Community Arts grant, which is specifically for organizations and artists working with organizations through a fiscal sponsorship or community partnership.
Yeah, and Brio, you can win up to $3,000.
All right. So how important is this to the Bronx community?
Quite. Personally, and actually org-wide, we believe that it's so important to illuminate the work that's been happening here, because as our CASA friend just told us, gentrification is on its way, right? So typically artists are kind of used as the pillar to push that forward, and we're trying to move against that because artists have been in this borough and have been working in this borough for decades. So we want to encourage the artists who have been here to give back to the community with community engaged grants or be a part of the process with Brios.
Exactly.
All right. So how important is art to the Bronx? Because I know you said there are many artists that came from the Bronx and you're trying to encourage them to come back here. So tell us a little bit about art and the Bronx.
That's a good question. Well, this is the pillar for so many artistic movements. I mean, salsa started here, hip hop started here, and many other artistic movements were born of the Bronx. So we have to keep that legacy.
All right. So anything else you would like to tell us more about with the Brio artists and so forth? What is the age group, again, what we're looking for?
Well, 18 and over.
18 and over
That's
can
what
apply.
we're looking for.
All right.
And
tell us a little bit about the artists, like any type of artists.
Yeah, you can apply in visual arts, performing arts, media arts, and literary arts.
Okay.
So we've had a lot of our artists performing throughout the Bronx.
Yeah.
And beyond.
And beyond.
And then, of course, you guys have free workshops, right? So tell us about that.
Okay, so Delasia's workshops have already passed for her grants, and as she said earlier, her deadlines are coming up. For me, I have actually 8 workshops coming up. The next workshop is going to be October 14th at Hostos Community College at the Longwood Art Gallery. We have an art gallery at Hostos Community College. So, and that's going to take place from 6 to 8 p.m. On October 14th. So then we have several more throughout the Bronx, so we can try to catch everybody. We don't want to leave anybody out.
Okay.
And I'll go over the deadline so everyone knows. So for the Artists for Community grant, the deadline is October 14th, and then Arts Fund is October 28th, and Community Arts Grant is November 18th.
All right. So
And the deadline for Brio is December 9th.
okay. So what other things are you guys looking for with these awards? Like,
Okay, so
Well, it's kind of different
Yeah.
because I'm for individual artists and it's just excellence of work. It's a blind panel process, and so therefore the judges do not know who the artists are, and the judges come from outside of the Bronx. And for Delacia,
it's a bit different.
Yeah.
So all of my panelists and judges are Bronx organizations or artists who have been working in the Bronx, and we look for community engaged projects impact. So folks want to be doing projects where they're invested in the community they're doing a project in. You don't necessarily have to live there, but essentially what we want to see is quality over quantity. We rather have a smaller group that is very impactful than a large one-time performance, and it's just like, okay.
Yeah.
All right, and you both of you guys are artists yourselves, or just a
Yes.
part of? Okay.
I'm a curator.
All right, so tell me a little bit about that. Why did you get into the arts, and how, is this important to you?
Okay, so as a curator, I see the arts as an ability to push a paradigm shift, and specifically for me through social justice. So that's where a lot of my work lies. How do we use the arts, since it's so fluid and easy for everyone to attach themselves to and be involved with, to make people think differently about the world, and specifically about social justice?
And myself, I'm just all around disciplinary artist, literary. I just enjoy it. So.
All right, that's very good, guys. So how can people get in contact, artists who are trying to, put their work forward, would like to be a part of this program, would like to get a grant to, further their work? How can people get in contact with that?
Well, they can contact me, Lydia, at BronxArts.org. That's my email address. The telephone number is 718-931-9500 at extension 35. And
And
for
I'm the
Delisha,
same phone number, extension 22, and my email address is D as in Delisha, Foreman, Foreman, at BronxArts.org.
And we suggest that you go to the website, and I'm going to give you the website again.
Okay.
www.bronxarts.org. Go to the grants page and just look through everything, read through everything, decide what you want, what you feel is right for you, and then give us a call, and then we can help
We're
you.
here to help.
All right, thank you very much for being here
Thanks
today.
for
Thank
having
you.
us.
All right, so we have to take a quick break, but coming up, we'll take a look at a movement to create justice. Stay tuned.
What's on your mind?
Let 'em know.
What's on your mind? What's on your mind?
Hey, I'm Darren Hyman. I want to invite you to share with me on Perspectives with yours truly. Guess what? What do? We share perspectives. We find out about stuff with politics, news, current events, and the things that really make a difference in your life. Perspectives with yours truly, Darren Hyman.
Entertainment, he rocks it. Politics, he locks it. The host with the most would handle any topic.
Welcome, everybody. We are open. I'm the Dr. Bob Lee from 107.5 WBLS. You can catch me on there each and every night right after the Quiet Storm. You can catch me right here on Open, 10 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. Let's just call it on the 10s and then just keep it tuned. And we got you covered like a blanket, okay? I'm out in the community and we're all over the place because we are now open.
Hello and welcome back. The Black Project works to address food justice and economic development for women and youth of color in our community. And on the 9th of October, they will hold a Not Just Talk event. Joining us for a preview and a look at their work, we have founder and executive director Tanya Fields. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right. So can you tell me a little bit more about your project, your Black Project?
So the Black Project is a feminist food justice organization that looks to create economic development for black women, mothers, and their children, and other women of color and their children, utilizing the good food and local food movement as a catalyst for economic development change. So that's in a nutshell.
Right. So when did you start this?
So I really started conceptualizing this back in like 2007, 2008 as a unmarried mother living in the South Bronx, recently graduated college, working in the nonprofit sector, really coming into close contact with environmental justice work, working for Sustainable South Bronx and Mothers on the Move. And the piece that I felt was really missing from the environmental justice language was the food justice piece. So someone who had fed my children on SNAP, had an intimate relationship with the welfare system, and also like trying to get my education. I knew that there weren't a lot of resources for black women and women of color in struggling communities. And so that was reflected very much in the diets that our children and ourselves were being exposed to and consuming. I had an asthmatic child, and if you start to really look at the holistic approach to asthma, then you realize like with much of food, it can be medicine or it can be poison. And so much of what was available in our community was not healthy. It was not good for her asthma. Much of it was either old or too expensive, old and too expensive, or processed. And so I really wanted to find a way to bring better food into our community because this is a human rights issue. And I also wanted to make sure that when we brought those things into our community, because I like to say I'm from the Bronx by way of gentrified Harlem. That seems to be the buzzword of today's show, gentrification. And so I was thinking about the lessons that I learned being pushed out of Harlem because of gentrification. So often we fight to get things in our community, better parks, we spend decades doing these things, rezoning, such and so on. And then the unintended consequence of that is that it allows folks to come in and push us out because now we've made the community safer for those who now want to move into it. And so I didn't want to do that.
Okay. So what is your main goal for, Black Project?
The main goal for the Black Project is to bring healthy food into the community and make sure that women and youth make some money while we do it.
All right. So what do you have coming up?
So, like I said, this is a feminist organization, right? And we realize that food justice is a symptom. The disease, if you will, is really economic development that's propped up by racism, white supremacy, and patriarchy, sexism. And so we look at, in doing food justice work, how to also address those intersections. So our Not Just Talk Summit, which is our theme this year, is hashtag Black Mama Magic, all caps, that's important. We want to yell it from the rooftops, is about affirming Black motherhood, right? So when we think about revolution, when we think about how Black lives matter, that starts with probably one of the most marginalized jobs in our community, which is being a mother. And for us, we want to really affirm and celebrate the full spectrum of motherhood. So we want to be inclusive. We are including, the LGBTQ community. We're talking about kinship parents. So those are parents who are non-biological parents. We're talking about unmarried mothers, partnered mothers. We're talking about non-gender conforming mothers. We're looking at multi-generational. There's going to be child care. We're going to have fabulous food. There's all these different workshops. So it's really about a space to affirm the work that we as mothers do in this community.
All right. So you're reaching out to women of color that are mothers and also youths as well, right? So how does the youth come into that?
As cliche as it sounds, the children are our future. Right? And so the reality is that if we're talking about creating, because part of dealing with these issues is not just making policy changes, systemic changes, it's also about culture shift, right? And as Frederick Douglass said, it is easier to create healthy children than to try to fix broken men. And I'm sure he meant women in that as well. And so for us, it's about making sure that we have this space where we are nurturing this in our children. They see it as normal, and that these multi-generational space lets them know that there's a role for them at this table, and that it sort of inherently plants the seed in them to take control of their lives as they get older and know that they actually have a voice in what happens in their lives.
All right. And how important is this to the Bronx community?
I think it's extremely important to the Bronx community. The Bronx community is one of the poorest boroughs. Unfortunately, I want there to be a time where I'm going to be able to stop saying that. And it's also the one with the highest concentration of families and children. And so when we talk about poverty, we are talking about the feminization of poverty. Children and women are the most affected by poverty. So if we're talking about spaces where we can deconstruct many of the systems that make it difficult for us to thrive as parents, as well as affirming the job that we're already doing, well, then we are talking to the people of the Bronx about that because they're the ones who are the most negatively impacted and feeling it the hardest.
All right. So what would you tell, a woman of color that is struggling, and she might be a single parent mother as well. What would you tell her, in terms of like pushing her towards greatness?
I think that we all inherently, we all have an inherent power within ourselves. And it's about tapping into that. It's about casting off a lot of the shame and marginalization that I think particularly low income mothers, Black mothers feel. And, this is not just about them, but we are really reaching out to them to affirm them because I think they need the most affirmation. And I think that they have to understand that, the job that you're doing as someone's mother, is probably going to be the most important job that you do in your entire life. And that you are going to be your children's first example of a role model. They are going to get those tools of resiliency and courage and innovation and resourcefulness from you. And so there is no shame in being someone's mother. If anything, that's something that you should be proud of. And so you do it the best way that you know how, and you learn the tools as you go along, and that all of this, a lot of the marginalization and the stigma that we oftentimes have directed at us as women of color, as mothers of color, it's just a function of the society that we live in that is very intentional about breaking us down. So you just got to cut through that noise and just, again, more cliches, keep your head up.
All right. So if, these women of color would like to get in contact with you, can you give us some information of how we can get in contact with you?
Yes, my business is all over the internet. It's very easy to find me. If folks look up theblackproject.org, so that's the BLKPROJEK.org. I'm on Twitter, same thing, twitter.com/theblackproject. We're on Facebook. Facebook.com/The Black Project. They can reach us at 718-658-0935. And they can also send us an email to info@theblackproject.org.
All right. Thank you so much, and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
All right. Unfortunately, that is all for our show. Thank you for our guests for joining us today. And most importantly, thank you to our viewers for tuning into Open University. And remember, the faith to start must be accompanied by the fortitude to finish. Again, I'm Katie Loy Knight. Until next time.
Bronx Backyard on BronxNet, from Broadway in the Bronx. On BronxNet Channel 67 Optimum, 33 Fios, and at www.bronxnet.tv. Featuring Johnny Grave, Johnny 7, Brooks Thomas, Genetic Control, Ryan Banga. Bronx Backyard on Bronx Live on your channels, BronxNet.
Welcome, good people of the Bronx and beyond.
From the north to the south to the west to the east, we are expanding our services and upgrading technology at Lehman College. And now, Bronxites have an innovative media production facility in the East Bronx at Mercy College in the Hutch Metro Center. The windows on the East Bronx studio, a state-of-the-art control room, media labs for production and training, and other media-capable spaces. Training, workforce development, leading-edge technology, and programs that help you share your ideas, your voice, on your channels, locally and globally. Build media and technology skills at BronxNet and build your dreams.